So we are going to learn about the hypergraph connectivity connections, and two types of hypergraph layouts are there. One is hierarchy and another is hypergraph connections. I'll check this here. Window, general editors, there is hypergraph hierarchy and hypergraph connections. So if I'm checking this hierarchy, in the proper hierarchy of the scene, I have a main group, Star Wars character rig, that we have named in the outliner. And if you're opening that, two nodes are there, two groups. It's a Weyl-Anim group and a geometry group. So it's all the same hierarchy which is displayed. So the hierarchy of the scene nodes is established and displayed and explained in the hypergraph hierarchy window. Same thing, the another option is hypergraph connections. So what does this mean? You can select an object and you can find out the connectivity. So this is the attribute input and output connections, and this one is scene hierarchy. Scene hierarchy we just checked up. Okay. So now we can check the connections. I've selected this head geometry. If I select and checking the input and output connections, the geometry is having one constraint, parent constraint. This parent constraint is attached, and also the head control. Head geometry is constrained to the head control. So this is one connectivity of this head geometry. So while coming to the next stage of connections, I'm going to add one eye control for this character. I'm creating a nubs circle. Just changing into linear. So these are the eye controls which we are going to place for this character. Getting the 0 value, just come to modify freeze transformation. These two nub surface controls. One is left, so left eye and right eye, and this is the main eye control. These both, just drag to the main eye control. So it is parented now. Saying next constraint, the aim constraint for this eye. Group, and this is the right eye group. And you need to group, come to center pivot, just rename all these components properly, and same like the left eye group, group it, but to come to modify center pivot, Okay. So I got properly two main eye groups, left eye group and right eye group. So the next stage we need to assign the aim constraint. Come to constraint aim. So that this will constrain the aim axis. So we are selecting the whole group and we are adding the constraint for that. Now it is moving. So the next stage is we need to align eyelid closing controls. To add one more attribute. So I selected both the controls. You can find out an option, add attributes in the modify panel. I'm adding the attribute eye close minimum, maximum, and default is 0. So now it will go to -10 to +10. I got left and right attribute eye controls got applied for this. I'm coming to next option, set driven key. You have to come to animation key, set driven key here. Just mark it down, write it down, the details. You can come to the option set. Like the control will be applied and controls attributes will be driven by the keys. So now control is the driver and the shape node. The shape node of this left eye have the start and end sweep. So we have to select the shape node, load driven. So this is the transform node which is having translate, rotate and scale, and this is the shape node. Okay. So we are selecting start sweep and end sweep, and here eye close. Okay. Just add the key, that is the default key. Now the eye close value is 0. So if I am taking 10, 10 means the total value, the eye is closed. End sweep, again add key. Right now eye close value is 10. Just changing the 10 to 0, it is opening. But from -10 it is not fully opened. So we'll go to -10 now. Come to the end sweep and start sweep again. Okay, then again key. Let's check, we are in -10. The eye close attribute is in -10. So now the default value 0, it's a normal situation, and the value 10 will close the eyes and -10 will open it fully. So this is the main eye group. Select the main eye control and come to constraint A. So the rotate values are aligned, connected. We are adding the set-driven keys for this eye close. The shape node of this eyelid, it's in the load driven stage, and you can find out here. You have to select the eye close. So the keys are added now. So I'm adding the value 10, and then the eye is closing. Again, I'm adding the key. It's working. It's from 0 to 10. The eye is closing, and again I can go to -10. So right now I'm getting the total eyelid actions perfectly. So this is the way you need to add the set-driven keys. Set-driven keys will connect the attributes, and you have to set your own keys for maintaining the limitations of that animation. And I can check these connections in hypergraph for this eyelid. This is the shape node, and this is the control node, and these are the animation set-driven keys which we have added for this. Blend shape node, you can find out that blend shape node here, cube 6. Just add a key now, make the value 10, key again. It is working. Same, we have to select the right eye blend shape node, select the happy right eye. So it is the cube 5. By default, it's all value 0. We have added the key now. Make the value of 10 for this attribute happy right eye. Add the value 1 for the blend shape node. Add the key. It's all working. It's done perfectly. You can even club the both all controls now. So it's all a combination of all expressions. I'm going to create a curve. Just on the top view, like a small path. I just want to attach this character to move along the path. All the values are 0. So we are going to use the constraint. Motion path is in the constraint menu. First you select the main world anim control, shift select the path, come to constraint motion path. You can find out attached to motion path. Come to the options. We can set the time slider as the time range. 0 to 100 frames means it's only 4 seconds. We need something like 10 seconds, then we'll take start end, make 250 frames in time, attach. Now the world anim control is constrained in the motion path. So you can't use any difference or change, or you can't even make any add keys in the world anim control. Just make our time slider till 250. The character is moving. So the main control, the path control is constrained with the world anim. The individual body language and body actions will be animated using the local anim control. So now you have understood why we had made two different controls for the same attributes. The world anim will constrain to the world exterior components like path, or even from if it's using as a dynamic objects of hitting and gliding and all the constraints will come to world anim, and the individual body animations will be added on the local anim control. Now I'm just going to add the keyframes just for checking that. Now the character is following the path direction. From 200 frames, we are going to stop. So it's like applying a brake. Then we are coming to 300 frame. 260 itself, we are coming back on 275. So all the controls are working. We don't need to add this geometry selection. So make the reference mode of the geometry layer. Now we're going to add the secondary actions of the our body. Add the key again. We are coming to 150. So it means just in 2 seconds time, the character's movements are changing a little bit. Yeah, secondary animation is also working perfectly. There is no shifting, no double transformations. So the main controls hierarchy, everything is fine now. So the keys are added. Wheel rotation. So rotate X. So now the basic animation is over. Then comes to the head. The next control animation will be following the head activities. So the rig is working. Now comes the next secondary actions of I. You can add the expressions when it's on the second, on 100th frame. So fine, the rig is over, the test animation is fine, there is no errors, there's a small placement difference, we had updated that. So the rig can be transferred for animators to start the animation. So this is the process which you all need to do for character rigging. You have to set up the character, you have to cross-check the character controls, take a preview. Yeah, it's all fine. There is no difference in the alignment. All the controls had added the keys and it's all working perfectly. There is no issues. We don't need to fine tune the animation. We are just checking the character rig on animation. So I wish to see almost the same from everybody's rig.